Hi guys, welcome back to Sacred Vedic Astrology. My name is Samantha and I truly feel so blessed and so grateful to be a professional Vedic sidereal astrologer. Today's a really crazy day energetically, astrologically. Mercury is retrograde. Today is the second portion of the eclipse. There's a lot going on. Yes, there is. Venus is also now exalted in Pisces, which I love so much because Venus is the planet of art and beauty and feminine energy. So we are going to feel very creatively inspired and very connected to the Venusian themes this month, right? Perhaps we want to beautify ourselves, beautify our home, beautify our spaces, this Venusian energy flowing through us because that Venus is now exalted. Even though there's a lot of other energies at play astrologically that is causing people to be a little bit more aggressive this month as well too. Mercury retrograde, sitting there with Mars. We have to watch out for tension and friction, absolutely. But that strong Venus is giving a lot of artistic, sort of creative, beautiful desires. So I like that Venus exalted, and maybe I'll do an energy update video because there's a lot shifting astrologically, but I thought today would be a perfect day to film a video because we have the eclipse and there's a lot of energy flowing around. I'm sure y'all can feel it. So today we're going to do a really fun and fascinating and eerily accurate chart analysis video about the fated, tragic love story of JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. To be quite honest, I have not seen the show. I got a comment from one of y'all to look into her chart, but I actually want to look into JFK Jr.'s chart because we can see Carolyn very clearly in his chart with the Ketu 7th house placement, Rahu in his first. Oh my goodness, such a fated karmic placement, astrologically speaking. And I thought it was just going to be really fascinating to see how spot on that Rahu Ketu karma has played out in JFK Jr.'s chart and his life, right? He was a very Rahu person. He was in the spotlight. He had all the money and the wealth and the success, and he was absolutely gorgeous. They say Rahu in the first house gives worldly beauty. That man was absolutely beautiful. And he also had all the charm, all the charisma that comes with Rahu in the first house. People with that placement can have a lot of charm, a lot of charisma. Okay, very charismatic placement. Now, he was the Rahu, and then Carolyn Bessette was the Ketu. So she was shrouded in mystery. She was very mysterious, very quiet. We didn't really know that much about her. She was always in the shadows of JFK Jr., and she was also seen a lot with film and photography and television, which is Ketu, and Ketu is also drugs and illusions. And there was all these accusations that she was using substances. It's all so Ketu. Illusions, shrouded in mystery. We don't know that much about her. We're fascinated by her. Ketu, it's elusive, it's confusing. It's what was going on with that woman? We don't really know. And now everyone is very fascinated by this story. So it's very, very eerily spot on to the Rahu first house, Ketu 7th house placement, which is a very karmic placement in itself. One of my first Vedic teachers, Joni, would always say that if you have Rahu in the first, Ketu in the 7th, you have a very fated sort of life experience, meaning you have a lot of experiences that you can't really control. It feels like things are out of your control a lot, and it's highlighting that first 7th axis, which is someone's self versus the public. So that is a very fated karmic placement, and a lot of people can have struggles with fame with that placement. They can be pushed into fame and projected into the spotlight with Rahu in the first, and then they also have issues with fame and notoriety and success, etc., etc. Right? And another aspect of Rahu in the first is someone does really have to watch ego issues in this lifetime, and they can really overshadow their partner because Rahu is so much energy, so much heightened energy. Ketu's in the 7th, that person gets pushed a little bit into the background. So we really see how all of that really played out in JFK Jr.'s life story. And obviously it's a very tragic story. I think it's interesting I don't know, it's interesting how people are romanticizing it so much, right? Like, oh my God, Carolyn Bessette and her style and JFK Jr. But that was also like very tragic and an awful ending as well too. So it's really interesting, right? But what I will say is I have not seen the show. I think I tried watching like one clip of it and I just had to shut it off. Because I just felt, I was like, I can't watch this. I didn't feel like the acting seemed good. I don't know, something about it. But I know a lot of you guys have probably been watching it and are curious about what was going on there, astrologically speaking. So we are going to pull up JFK Jr.'s chart. We're going to look at this Rahu first house, Ketu seventh house placement, because it is eerily accurate and tells us so much about his life story, right? Something you'll find about Rahu and Ketu is you could do an entire reading for someone based on their Rahu Ketu placement, in the sense that there's so much to pull out there, because these are the fated points of the chart. So Rahu, Ketu, it's all karma, it's all fate, it's all destiny, right? So we can do so much analysis based on that placement in itself, right? That's essentially what we're going to do. We're going to go into all of the energy of Rahu, Ketu in his chart and how this plays out, connects to Carolyn Bessette, and this fated, tragic sort of story. All right, guys, so here we have JFK Jr.'s Vedic sidereal astrological chart pulled up. Okay, so first of all, let us start with the Lagna, or the Ascendant of JFK Jr. So he was a Leo Ascendant, right? Leo's in the first house. Interestingly enough, in Vedic astrology, Leo does really connect with like kings and royalty and leaders and politics and government, right? And JFK Jr. was in all of those realms. That was his whole family history, right? So that's really fascinating. And his ascendant is 18 degrees, 39 seconds. Rahu right here is 18 degrees, 27 seconds. Oh my goodness. Rahu is right on JFK Jr.'s ascendant. Like, that is an extremely tight aspect. And something you have to understand about planetary influences, or Rahu Ketu, which are not planets, but they are like the shadowy aspects of the nodes. The closer that a planet gets to the ascendant, or the closer that Rahu and Ketu get to the ascendant, the more the energy is felt. The more it's felt, right? It's closer to the first house. So they feel it more. We see it more. It's more experienced in someone's life story, right? So that degree aspect is really important, actually. Okay, so Rahu is right there in the first house, right? Now, what is Rahu in Vedic astrology? Rahu is fame. It's the materialistic plane of existence. Rahu is karma. Rahu is desires, like extreme desires for something. And what you'll find a lot with Rahu in the first house is someone can get catapulted into fame or success, and it just kind of happens, right? It's like a fated sort of experience, but then they get a lot of highs and lows in the spotlight, in the public, and sometimes their public perception can be up and down. So he was very famous, he was very worldly, right? Rahu was like worldly desires, women loved him, he could get any woman he wanted, he could pay for whatever he wanted to pay for, right? It's very Rahu, it's like the worldly sort of desires, and that's right there in his first house, right? So an interesting aspect of Rahu in the first as well too is that it creates a person who their identity is very karmic by nature, right? There's some sort of karmic destiny around how they're perceived, how they're viewed in the world, and their life becomes public to some degree, right? Rahu can push them into the public eye, and they can really I talked about this in the chart analysis of James Dean, where they can be kind of thrill-seeking with Rahu in the first, right? So they can really enjoy like fast cars and nice things and thrill-seeking adventures. And it was said that the day that he, did fly the plane, he like wasn't feeling good, or he felt off, but he just took the risk and still did it anyways, right? So Rahu in the first can cause kind of this impulsive energy as well too, which they really have to watch out for, right? So his identity is karmic. It's in the public, it's in the spotlight. He has the success, he has the fame, he has the riches, he has the beauty, etc., etc. Ups and downs in the fame life and his connection to the public. So he was born into political royalty, essentially. He grew up under like media scrutiny. He was named the sexiest man alive. He was comfortable with visibility, or comfortable, he had to become comfortable with visibility, right? That was his Rahu destiny point. So Rahu in the first is like, my destiny is actually to be seen in this lifetime. My destiny is to show up in the world. My destiny is to not hide myself, right? That's Rahu in the first, and a very fated sort of connection to the public. Okay, so that's like very, very spot on, right? And what you'll find with Rahu in the first, Ketu in the seventh, is they have a lot of ups and downs in their entire life experience. Great things can happen, bad things happen. He lost his father at a very young age. There can be a lot of tragic experiences, ups and downs, highs and lows like that. Okay, now let us talk about how that's his Rahu, so that's all him, right? So the first house is who he is, what he's experiencing. So he's experiencing that Rahu experience, right? And what's really interesting is in his D9 Navamsha, he also has Rahu in the first house. So he's really got Rahu in the first house, D1 and D9 Navamsha. Ketu in the seventh in the D1, Ketu in the seventh in the D9, feeling those karmic experiences between himself and the public 100%. Now, that's him. He's all Rahu. He's all worldly power, desire, ambition, public, spotlight, fated experiences, ups and downs, success, all of it. He also does have Pluto and Uranus on his first house, which I find very fascinating, because here's the thing about it is outer planets, to me, in Vedic astrology, it just gives us further context, further information. I would never look at a chart and start analyzing the outer planets first. I would never do that. It's more so just additional information, right? So Pluto is destruction. Pluto is a really destructive, dangerous sort of energy. And then Uranus is unconventional, unseen accident, right? So he has Uranus with Pluto, with Rahu in the first, and he had this very tragic, unexpected accident, right? Pluto, Uranus in the first house. So we can take those outer planets for further analysis as well too. Okay, so moving on to his Ketu in the seventh house placement. So he has Ketu in the seventh, and he also has the moon. So he has Ketu conjunct moon in the seventh house. Now, what I find with Ketu moon placements in astrology, I find people with Ketu moon can be very attached or connected to their mother, right? There's something about the mother that is very karmic and fated, and they can have a very like close, interesting bond. Now, another thing with Ketu moon is these people can be kind of detached at times emotionally, especially it's in his seventh house of relationships. So he could probably be a little bit detached from his emotions, right? A little bit cold at times. You'll find that a lot with Ketu moon, especially if it's a male chart. Like, I find the Ketu moon energy can have this detached aspect about it, where it can be hard sometimes for them to like fully feel the full spectrum of their emotions, right? So that's an interesting aspect of Ketu moon. Now, moon is fame. It's the public. It's someone special, someone famous when it goes into the seventh house. So he got this person who was special. She was like well known in her field. She had good energy in her career. And then it's next to Ketu, and Ketu is karmic. Ketu is mysterious. Ketu is very like introspective, shy, quiet sort of energy. And what's really interesting is JFK would always like overshadow Carolyn, right? Like when you see them out and about, you know so much about JFK Jr. Like, you know who he is, his family, you know all about him, you know his life story, right? And then Carolyn was always more of like a mystery. It's always, what? Who is she? That's still a question. There's a lot of like mystery around her. And Ketu is like mystery. It's illusion. It's confusion. It's deception. It can be kind of like, what's really going on here? And the thing about Ketu in the seventh is the person with Rahu in the first, right? So he's the Rahu. He's the larger than life. He's the big personality. He's the fame. He's the worldly success. And then she's the Ketu. So she's a little bit more shadowy. She's more eclipsed. She's more quiet. We don't always know so much about her. And Ketu is also drugs and substances and illusions. And there was a part of their story where basically he got this letter that was like, oh my God, be careful. She likes to do drugs and she likes to party and she might be deceptive. Like quite literally, there was a letter that was sent to him about her potentially being on drugs and being deceptive and illusionary. Like, you can't make this stuff up. That's Ketu in the 7th house. Deception, substances, drugs, and illusions. Come on. And we find out that that's probably not true, but there's still this very confusing, deceptive, potentially addicty element about Ketu, right? And the other thing about Ketu is it is film, photography, television. So we see constant photos of them, photos of her. She had really great style, this kind of iconic style. There's all these photos of her in magazines, and Ketu, film, photography, television, right? And what I find interesting as well, too, is with Ketu in the 7th, can be someone kind of cold or detached. And even though she wasn't actually that way, there was always these like articles about her being cold or detached. So really, really eerily spot on. And Ketu can really be foggy sort of energy. It can be confusion. It can be detachment. The partner can have this elusive sort of dissolving energy about them where you're like, okay, we know about him because he's Rahu. We know all about him. What's going on with her? Right? And now the other thing that's really fascinating is Ketu is karma, right? Ketu is 100% karma in the relationship, in the married life, right? And if we look at the relationship, there was so much karmic energy playing out, right? Like no matter what you choose to believe in, whatever karma means to you, you can't say that that whole connection didn't have this very weird karmic faded undertone to it. Like it absolutely did, right? It felt very, very karmic. And Ketu is karma, right? And now it's in the 7th house. Really interesting. And another thing about her as this like Ketu sort of archetype is she rarely gave interviews. Her identity is remembered like visually, not verbally. She didn't really speak a lot, and she became iconic through paparazzi photography, right, which is Ketu. She was more elusive, more private. She was the Ketu. He was the Rahu. He was of the world. He was in the world, and there's a constant sort of push-pull dynamic between the two with Rahu and Ketu, right? So like Rahu in the 1st is this person is for the world. They need to be out there. Ketu in the 7th is that person gets eclipsed. They're more shadowy. They want a quieter or more private life as well, too. So there's like tension between the public and the private with Rahu in the 1st, Ketu in the 7th. And there's also constant narratives in media about tension in their relationship, fighting. There's literally photos of them like in a physical fight at Central Park. And I'm like, this is Rahu in the 1st house, Ketu in the 7th house, karmic, weird experiences, ups and downs, tension, weird karma that's playing out. So it's really, really interesting how much karma can unfold with that access. And my second Vedic teacher, James, who you guys know I always talk about, we love James. He would always say that like if someone has Rahu or Ketu in the 1st, 7th axis, married life is always going to be kind of up and down. It just will be that way because there is so much karma that is playing out, and that was absolutely playing out for them. Highs, lows, ups, downs, good, bad karma. If we think about the Rahu Ketu axis, wherever it goes in the chart, it's bringing a lot of unresolved karmic experiences, right? And that's why it can be very intense when it's in that 1st, 7th axis, because these are Kendra angle houses, right? These are houses that are very powerful, very prominent. Like the 1st house is someone's whole life experience. 7th house is connections, right? If we get these karmic energies in either 1st house or 7th house, highs, lows, ups, downs, very, very faded placement. Okay. Now, what I find very interesting about JFK Jr.'s chart as well, too, is he has such a prominent 5th house, and he has a really strong Jupiter, right? So he has Jupiter conjunct Venus, conjunct Saturn, hit by Rahu. right? So Rahu's also making another aspect. So he would for sure have wanted children, right? Like he definitely wanted kids because his 5th house of children is very activated. Now, what I assume would have happened is probably circumstances made it difficult for them to have kids, but he has a lot of energy in his 5th house of children. So let's see, let's do some research. Did he want kids? He definitely had to have wanted kids. Okay, so JFK Jr. strongly desired to have children and start a family, but basically his wife was hesitant due to the paparazzi pressure and fears of losing her privacy. Guys, did I not just say Ketu in the 7th? She wants to be private, he wants to be public, and he wants kids. So he would tell friends all the time, I definitely want kids. He wanted a bigger family. So what's really fascinating about his chart is his 5th house is very, very activated, right? He would want children. He would be very in 5th house energy, which is like pleasures and desires and romances, right? He also has Jupiter conjunct Venus, so he loves women. He loves women. He loves women, right? Also, Rahu is on his Venus as well, too. And Rahu is actually tightly on his Venus. So Rahu is 18 degrees. And the special trine aspect of Rahu onto Venus is 18 degrees 35 seconds. Rahu is 18 degrees 27 seconds. So his Venus is very activated in his chart. Jupiter's there, strong Jupiter is there. Rahu hits it. So he loves women. And he had a lot of experiences with a lot of different famous women, best believe it. So he would have wanted children. He would have been connected to the 5th house of writing and publishing. I believe he was, did he originally want to do like public, let's see. I feel like I remember reading something about him writing. Okay, yeah, so he was a magazine publisher, attorney and journalist who founded a political magazine, and he was a lead writer. Okay, so basically, something about the 5th house is 5th house is writing and publishing, and it can be a very, very creative house. So his chart actually leans in a more like creative, artistic writing sort of way, as opposed to necessarily so much about like law and politics. The 5th house is a very political house as well too, but I think his soul probably would have wanted to be a little bit more in the like writing, creative field of it all, and he could have absolutely went into like modeling and acting if he wanted to. I actually think with this chart, he should have gone into modeling and acting because he would have done really, really well with that, with the Jupiter strong with Venus in the 5th house with Saturn. Rahu in his 1st house. He could have been very gifted in that realm. Let's see. Did he ever do like modeling, acting? Let's see. Oh, it said, guys, I didn't even know. I swear to y'all, I didn't even know this. Okay, it says, he did pursue it as a passion despite his mother's disapproval. He performed in plays while attending Brown University, made his stage debut in 1985. His most notable role was a fictionalized version of himself in 1995. Guys, I genuinely did not know that, but I was looking at his chart and I was like, he would be such a good like actor model. So he had an interest in acting as a career, but largely focused on law, journalism, and publishing. Okay, so the publishing political aspect is connected to the 5th house as well, too. His mind would also be very powerful, very strong. But he would have really done well in modeling and acting. So I think if he was alive in this day and age and there was more like freedom to express himself, I bet y'all anything, he would have been so successful at modeling and acting with that powerful Jupiter Venus in the 5th house hit by Rahu in the 1st, really great for fame, success, being seen in front of the public in that way as well too. And remember how I brought up the mother earlier, like Moon Ketu can give some interesting karma with the mother. The mother is like very prominent in their life, sometimes too much so as well too. All right. So yeah, really fascinating. I think his Rahu 1st house, Ketu 7th house placement is spot on. He was that overshadowing sort of famous presence with a lot of karma in his life story and his family. And she became this kind of shrouded in mystery, quiet, wanted to be more private. And she was also accused of drugs and illusions. That's Ketu. That's quite literally Ketu. And then film and photography. She was always seen in these like paparazzi photos as well too. But he definitely had a very powerful, charismatic energy about him. He also had a strong Jupiter, so he was pretty lucky. He could attract things to him with ease. Jupiter with Venus, loved his women, loved his pleasure. he loved women and pleasure, I'll tell you that much. Jupiter, Venus conjunct in the 5th house, Rahu in the 1st. And he was also drawn to, with Ketu moon in the 7th house, women that were in like film and television, and his 7th ruler is in the 5th house near Venus and Jupiter, so he loved beautiful women who were connected to like creativity, film, models, actresses, all of that sort of stuff. Let's see. Let's see if he dated a lot of actresses. Okay, Daryl Hannell, Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah, there's a lot of actresses in there because basically, you know, 7th house ruler in the 5th house. 5th house is like creative. It's Venus. So his 7th ruler is near Venus and Jupiter. Venus is a karaka for beauty and art and creativity. Ketu's in the 7th. That's film. That's photography. That's television. Moon's in the 7th can give a famous or special partner, but can also give a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows in the married life, right? Because Moon is up and down, waxing, waning. Ketu is up and down karmic. So the married life of this chart would be very mixed. Like he would get the partner he wants. He would get beautiful partners, beautiful women, creative women in film, photography, television. But he would also have a lot of highs, lows, ups, downs in married life as well too. And I believe they had like a very private ceremony because they say Ketu in the 7th. You're supposed to have like a private marriage. Let's see. Yeah, they married in secret ceremony to avoid media attention, right? That's Ketu in private, hidden, mysterious, elusive in the 7th house of marriage. So it's all really, really spot on, very spot on. And obviously the ending was very tragic. Very, very tragic, but very karmic. Rahu in the 1st, Ketu in the 7th. They definitely knew each other in a past life, I'll tell you that much. And I don't usually bring in past life stuff because it's one of those more philosophical, higher realms and thought forms that it's like, I don't want people to think that astrology is overly mystical because it's not, right? It's actually a very practical system of analysis, but we all have our different, every astrologer brings their own philosophical viewpoints into astrology, and I would see Ketu in the 7th as met that person before. It's familiar, it's karmic, 100%. All right, also his Dara Karka is the moon, so a more sensitive, feminine, creative, perhaps special sort of partner, but again, ups, downs, highs, lows as well too. All right. So there's that, right? Spot on analysis of his chart with the Rahu Ketu placement and his powerful 5th house. He wanted children. He was in publishing. He was creative. He wanted to be an actor. I'm telling you guys, if I saw this chart, I would have told JFK Jr. to go into modeling and acting. He has a beautiful chart for that. And that was what he wanted to do, right? Initially. So really powerful. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this really fascinating chart analysis into JFK Jr. and how he's having this really interesting resurgence in the media. Everyone's like, I'm hosting a JFK Jr. lookalike contest in my apartment, which I think is so funny. I think it's so funny. And the thing about Rahu in the 1st is they have a strong presence. They have a strong ability to influence, right? If Rahu's in the 1st, they can be influential when they step into that energy. So he's going to have fashion trends and worldly beauty, and people can really always remember them. They can have this iconic sort of presence. So really spot on, really accurate. And his chart was one that was actually one of the first charts that we did as like a case study in one of my earlier classes of Vedic astrology, we looked into his chart. So I always do remember his chart pretty clearly as well too. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment, like, and subscribe for so much more content coming soon. I hope you guys have such a beautiful, blessed day with the eclipse, and Mercury is retrograde, so double check, triple check, whatever you're doing. Technology is going to go a little haywire. I've already had so many like technology issues since Mercury has gone retrograde, so that's absolutely playing out. And if you guys want me to do this with your chart, these in-depth, really, really accurate analysis sessions, you can always book your own reading. I will link that down below in the bio as well too. And I'm sending all the love, all the best vibes. Comment your perspective on JFK Jr. and what you think about his chart as well too. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye guys.